Hello, colleagues. This is Wayne Young. I was wanting to do a video to show you something on analyzing your test scores that I know administration was wanting us to do regarding sex of the student, race of the student, trying to look at achievement gaps and whatnot. And, analyzing AIG, LEP, SWD, all these different things. Um, I'm one that I don't like to do things like over and over again. So I hope this is going to save you a lot of time. It's very straightforward. Um, if you'll notice right here, I have my data, at least some sample data. It looks just like what you would see on EVOS. If you want me to help you get your data into a spreadsheet off EVOS, I can. But all I did was pull up my class list there and the little number sign up here on the left, I just click there and drag all the way down to the bottom right number at the bottom of the list. And then I do Control C, and then I get into a Google Sheet and do Control V. That gives me my headers and my students, everything. So that's exactly why this data looks the way it does, because that's all it did was pull it out of EVOS. I have deleted their names, so I just call them student whatever. And this is my period 5 class for math 5. Yeah, that's bogus because it is. But if you look over here, we'll slide over. I did include the state proficiencies as far as probability and percentiles for the whatever test it is. And it's their projection for scoring 50% or above. And then I added this column over here for score. And then the ones to the right of that, I'm just recording test scores. And we just did our Unit 2 test today, which I'll add later. But anyways, all I do here is I export my scores from the PowerSchool gradebook. I do the score sheet report. I export it to a .csv file, and then I simply copy those numbers straight out of there and paste them into here. Because if you've got your students alphabetically out of EVOS, then it should line up with the alphabetically out of your gradebook, and you just paste those scores in. And yeah, it looks different because it has a percent right here, but that's okay because this is actually a decimal formatted as a percent. So the way I get my score here is just I say equals, and then I click on this cell, and then I'm going to say times 100 and hit enter. And it gives me my score out of 100. And if I click on that little square beside the cell and drag it down, this little square, then it copies the formula all the way down and calculates each of those scores off of this column, okay? And that is the last thing you need, okay? So if I want to analyze this, what I'm going to show you how to do is what's called a pivot table. And I'm going to show you how to do just by sex of the student, then by race of the student, and then maybe the AIG, etc. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to do a combination of these, okay? But we'll put each of them in their own tab. But anyways, how do you begin your pivot table? Well, I'm not interested in the name of the student, the district, tested school, all that. Unless I had multiple schools listed here, then I might be. But we're starting just over here with the sex column. So I'm going to click on that cell. And then I'm going to left click and hold on that cell and drag all the way over to score column and go all the way down to the last student. So I get on that last cell, I release, and I have all of that data highlighted. Now, to get your pivot table, that's found under Data, and then you click on Pivot Table right here, and it's going to open a brand new tab, and you have everything here. It doesn't look like it has any data there, but that's okay you have to tell it what you want to see on your pivot table. So if I go to rows over here, it says add field. So all I want to do is click on that, and I'm going to say let's let that be the sex of the student. Okay, so then it adds your female and male and the grand total. You're like, well, I don't have any data there yet. That's correct, because you want to go down here now to values on the right, and you're going to click on add field again, and then we're going to put the score, and that's your test scores. But if you look, these numbers are pretty high, right? That's not what you want, because what they've done is they said summarized by the sum. So they've added up all the scores, and that's not what you want. What you want to do is take this, click on the sum down here in the where it says summarized by, and you go up, and I did like the average test score. So when you do that, it gives you this over here, and you're looking at the average test score for the females, average test score for the males, and then a combination of both, the grand total. Now, yeah, the scores are low. This was our pre-assessment, and, you know, students haven't had the material yet, so they're not going to score as high. But if you look, you get a bunch of decimal places here, and to nicen that up, if you click and drag and highlight those and go to Format, Number, and then Number again, then it puts these to 2 decimal places, which is a lot nicer. Okay? So that's our first pivot table. All right? So I'm going to click on the tab down here at the bottom and double click that, and then type, we'll call it gender pivot. Okay? So that's my male-female analysis. And then I'm going to go and right-click that, because I don't want to have to highlight the data and create a whole nother pivot table. But we're going to right-click and just say duplicate this one. Okay? And then I get a copy of this. All right? So what I want to do is I want to add another field. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Just click on the X right here. And then say add field, and we're going to analyze by race. So click on race there. And here it is again. So now I get my race breakdown with the test averages. Because again, we haven't changed our display of the score as an average. And then just to nicen it up, I'm going to highlight all of those and do Format, Number, and click on Number again. Okay? Which I think by the third one, Google's going to figure out that, hey, I want 2 decimal places. I think it kind of learns that. But anyways, we're going to call this one Race Pivot. And then I'm going to duplicate this one again, because now we're going to go to our next field, and we're going to look at our, let's say, AIG numbers, and see now it's giving me 2 decimal places, which is nice. And I'm going to double click that and say AIG pivot. So I'm just renaming the tab. Then I'm going to duplicate that again. And I'm going to come over here and delete the group by AIG and add another row field. And we're going to do limited English proficiency, the LEP. And then I'm going to rename the tab again, LEP pivot. Now I'm going to duplicate that again. And I'm going to click that away and go to add field. And we're going to look at students with disability and look at those numbers. And we're going to do SWD pivot. So that gives us all of our numbers. If you click on the tab, you have your totals right there. Everything's good to go. And you can pull those numbers really easy. Next, what I'd like to do is, let's say we're going to take gender pivot, click on that, and we're going to right click and duplicate it. But what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, let's look at males and females, but we're going to add a column this time. So I don't have to look at just male and female. I can look at combinations of male, female versus race. And I can do that by adding a column here and just add a race column. And then I get all of my numbers here for male, female for each of the races, okay? And again, I can nicen up those numbers by highlighting those cells and doing format, number, and number. And it gives me 2 decimal places. So again, that's the advanced edit. So if I rename that, I could do gender-race pivot. And then I have all those I can work with. Now, what I'd like to do later is attach these into a document and link them so that as I update this, it generates the report automatically. And then I don't even have to get into the spreadsheet other than putting in my score totals. Now I'm going to show you again, just off of here real quick. If I want to do my next test, let's say I just did the Unit 1 test after our pretest, and I want to analyze my Unit 1 test scores. All I do is go to my score column once they're pasted over here on the right, in this column here, column O. I'm going to click on score. I'm going to change the formula by hitting equals. But this time the Unit 1 test, I click on that and then say times 100, enter. And 14 matches 14%, so you can eyeball it and make sure it looks correct. And then again, grab this square in the bottom right of this cell, click and hold, and drag it all the way down, and it copies the formula straight down. And there's your 79 at the bottom, which matches that 79% there. Now, all the work's been done. I just click on gender pivot, and there's my new totals. I click on gender race pivot, there's my new totals. Race pivot, there's my new totals. So again, you only have to do this once, set it up, and then it's just a matter of copying your new test scores in and pulling those numbers off. So anyways, I hope that helps, and I hope it saves you a lot of time. Again, I've tried to do this for our department where I'm doing a list of, I guess, different classes for each student. So I have a teacher column. I also have a course column. So I can analyze by course and teacher and whatnot as well. But this should get you guys started and help you out and save you a ton of time, I hope. So enjoy. Please call me if you have any questions. My extension is 36876. And again, my name is Wayne Young, and I'm in room E2208 if you'd like or need any help doing anything. I appreciate it. Talk to you later. Have fun.